Step into the world of UFC, where every fight tells a story of skill, strategy, and sheer willpower. These epic battles feature some of the sport's greatest warriors, clashing in the octagon with everything on the line.
Maybe a slip there, Shogun got caught! St. Preux trying to finish this fight! Oh, it's St. Preux!
From title defenses to grueling rematches, each fight showcases the heart and soul of MMA. Lyoto vs. Mauricio. Lyoto Machida was gearing up for his third title defense against Mauricio Shogun Rua at UFC 104. The fight was a technical showcase, with both fighters exchanging skillful moves. Shogun brought his Muay Thai skills into play, landing brutal leg kicks and punishing Machida's body. On the other hand, Machida used his mastery of distance to land clean strikes every time Shogun moved in to engage. The fight was incredibly close, with both fighters demonstrating their skills and resilience. After rounds of back-and-forth action, the judges awarded a unanimous decision victory to Machida. However, this decision sparked a lot of debate. Many felt that Shogun should have won, as he appeared to cause more damage to Machida and landed a higher number of strikes. Despite his efforts, Shogun couldn't sway the judges in his favor. The Machida vs. Shogun fight remains a memorable moment in UFC history, showcasing the intricacies and subjective nature of scoring in mixed martial arts. Pierre vs. Diaz. When Georges St. Pierre had to pull out of his title fight against Nick Diaz due to an injury, Carlos Condit stepped in to take his place at UFC 143. The fight was for the interim UFC welterweight title, and it turned out to be a really close contest. Condit used a strategy of constant movement, striking Diaz from a distance. On the other hand, Diaz was all about pushing forward, landing solid combos. The fight was neck and neck, with both fighters showing their skills. After rounds of intense battling, the judges awarded a unanimous decision victory to Condit. However, this decision sparked some debate among fans and experts. Many thought Diaz had done enough to win the title, but the judges saw the fight differently. This matchup was a classic example of how mixed martial arts can sometimes be subjective when it comes to scoring. Both Condit and Diaz put up a great fight, but in the end, it was Condit who walked away with the belt, leaving some to question the judges' call. The Condit vs. Diaz fight remains a significant moment in UFC history, highlighting the complexities and nuances of judging in this sport. Penn vs. Edgar. At UFC 112, BJ Penn was set to defend his title for the fourth time, this time against Frankie Edgar. During the fight, Penn relied on his boxing skills to land some clean hits whenever Edgar tried to close in. Edgar, on the other hand, used his quick movements and striking skills to set up takedown attempts. The fight was incredibly close, with both fighters showing great skill and strategy. After the final bell, the judges decided in favor of Edgar, awarding him a unanimous decision victory and the UFC lightweight title. However, this decision stirred quite a bit of debate among fans and experts. Many believed that Penn should have kept his title, arguing that he landed the more significant strikes throughout the fight and deserved to be declared the winner. Henderson vs. Edgar. After taking the UFC lightweight title from Frankie Edgar at UFC 144, Benson Henderson was ready for his first title defense, which turned out to be a rematch against Edgar at UFC 150. In this intense fight, Edgar showcased his speed and agility, landing a barrage of strikes and even managing to knock Henderson down in the later rounds. Meanwhile, Henderson maintained his composure, staying on the outside and delivering powerful body kicks while effectively blocking Edgar's attempts to take him down. The fight was extremely close, with both fighters giving it their all. After the final round, the judges awarded a split decision victory to Henderson. However, this decision sparked some controversy. Many believed that Edgar's aggressive approach and the sheer volume of strikes he landed should have been enough to regain his title, but the judges saw things differently. The Henderson vs. Edgar rematch remains a significant event in UFC history, illustrating the complexities of judging in the sport. Hendricks vs. Lawler. After clinching the UFC welterweight title from Robbie Lawler at UFC 171, Johnny Hendricks was all set for his first title defense in a rematch against Lawler at UFC 181. In this fight, Hendricks showed off his skills, landing solid combinations and taking Lawler down multiple times. But Lawler wasn't going down without a fight. In the later rounds, he ramped up the aggression, pushing the pace and throwing powerful punches. The fight was incredibly close, but in the end, the judges awarded a split decision victory to Robbie Lawler, who reclaimed the welterweight title. This decision left many debating. Some felt that Hendricks had done enough throughout the fight to keep his his title, but the judges saw it differently. This match was another reminder of how tight and unpredictable fights can be in the UFC, with the outcome often hinging on the judges' perspectives. Dillashaw versus Cruz. TJ Dillashaw was gearing up for his third title defense against Dominic Cruz at UFC Fight Night 81. In this highly anticipated fight, Cruz showcased his signature footwork and movement, constantly looking for openings to strike and set up takedowns. On the other hand, Dillashaw was on the offensive, taking Cruz down and unleashing combinations and hard kicks. The fight was incredibly tight, with both fighters showing their skills. In the end, the judges awarded a split decision victory to Dominic Cruz, making him the UFC bantamweight champion. However, the decision was met with some controversy. Many believed that Dillashaw had landed the more effective strikes during the fight and should have kept his title. This match was a clear example of how close and contentious decisions can be in MMA, leaving fans and fighters alike debating the outcome long after the final bell. Bisping versus Henderson. Michael Bisping was all set for his first title defense against Dan Henderson at UFC 204. In their first encounter, Henderson had scored a brutal knockout against Bisping. During their rematch at UFC 204, Henderson repeatedly landed his famous H-bomb, but Bisping's toughness and stamina allowed him to endure and fight back in the later rounds. Despite being knocked down multiple times, Bisping managed to secure a unanimous decision victory to retain his title. The fight's outcome, however, sparked some debate. Many thought Henderson had done enough to win, especially considering how many times he had knocked Bisping down. They believed Henderson should have been crowned the new champion. This match was a clear demonstration of how resilience and endurance can turn the tide in a fight, even when it seems like all odds are against you. Lawler versus Condit. Robbie Lawler was gearing up for his second title defense against Carlos Condit at UFC 195. Condit kicked off the fight with a bang, aggressively throwing impressive combinations and putting Lawler under pressure. However, Lawler wasn't going to be outdone. He came back strong in the later rounds, nearly finishing Condit off. The fight turned into an all-out 5-round brawl, leaving fans on the edge of their seats. In the end, a split decision awarded the victory to Robbie Lawler. This decision was met with some debate among fans and experts. Many believe that Condit's performance in the earlier rounds, marked by his aggressiveness and combo strikes, should have won him the world title. However, the judges saw the fight differently, leading to Lawler retaining his title. This match was another example of the unpredictability and subjective nature of scoring in MMA fights. Jones versus Gustafsson. John Jones was set for his 6th title defense against Alexander Gustafsson at UFC 165. In a thrilling matchup, Gustafsson showcased his impressive striking skills and even managed to take Jones down several times. However, Jones came roaring back in the later rounds, landing his signature elbow strikes and stunning Gustafsson. The fight was an intense back-and-forth battle, leaving fans in awe. At the end, John Jones was awarded a unanimous decision victory. Despite this, there was a lot of talk among fans and experts who believed that Gustafsson had done enough to win the fight and should have been declared the new champion. His performance had been outstanding, challenging Jones like few had before. This match remains one of the most memorable and debated in UFC history, highlighting the high level of competition and the fine margins that can determine the outcome of a fight. Pierre versus Hendricks. Georges St. Pierre was up for his 9th title defense against Johnny Hendricks at UFC 167. In the fight, GSP strategically used a stiff jab to maintain distance from Hendricks and effectively landed strikes from the outside. Hendricks, on the other hand, appeared more aggressive, delivering powerful combinations throughout the 5 rounds. The fight was a roller coaster of action, swinging back and forth between the two fighters. After an intense and closely contested battle, GSP emerged with a split decision victory. However, this win sparked debate, with many, including UFC President Dana White, believing that Hendricks should have been declared the winner. Following this tough and controversial fight, GSP announced that he would be taking a break from the sport and vacated his title, leaving fans and the UFC community buzzing about the fight's outcome and his future in the sport. And there you have it, a glimpse into some of the most gripping and debated fights in UFC history. Each bout is a testament to the fighter's skill and determination, leaving a lasting impression on the world of MMA. These battles remind us why we love this sport, for its unpredictability, intensity, and the incredible heart shown by the fighters.